I got really stubborn, and I spent a lot of money to get like equipment to go be like a taco stand, because I was just so intrigued and I wanted to learn. Being in that seat of, I'm a student still. I'm not the best at sales. I'm not the best at cooking or sign. No, wait, sign spinning. I am the best. Let me say that. I'm the best. Take that, Matt Doolin, Kadeem Johnson, Zach, all of you, everybody, take that.
On the topic of this art space, what was your first introduction to this? What was the first sign to hit you? Because I remember spinning for this. I think you scheduled me for this with Justin, like when I first came back from Florida at the Freeze
a while back.
Yeah.
Man, my introduction to this was Yumi Roth. I can't remember the exact situation, but I mean, over time we became friends, and she just inserted herself into our world, and she showed up to our local competitions and to our WSSCs, and she became, just like a family with us, right? So, I remember meeting her at our local competition in LA, right? We threw a West Coast competition, and we were hosting it. And Eric brought her from Orange County, and she hung out with us for the day. But I just remember her introducing herself to me and saying, she was like, "Hey, I heard I need to talk to you about sign spinning." And I was like, "Yeah, hey, it'd be some good conversation," right? So it kind of just went from there. She told me about what she was trying to do. I thought it was really cool. I was like, wow, this is really cool, and you want to do this with us? Like, that's really cool, and it makes sense, because she just broke it down, and the analogy of dancing and so many other things, and she just thought she was really cool, and she thought we were really cool, and so that's how I got introduced, and that's how I'm here today with this. I just, I don't know who it started with, who she just first really started talking to. I can't remember, because it's been a few years already, And, she told me about herself, and I thought it was just really cool. But she came to the local comp, started introducing her to some people. I'm not saying I'm taking credit for anything like that. I just introduced her to some people at WSSC, and then she made friends with everybody, and everybody seemed to like her, and she's been really cool. And this whole thing is really cool, and where she brought it to, where she put it at, and where it's at today.
Yeah, real full circle moment to be the guy that, I heard you're the guy to talk to about sign spinning, and here we are talking about sign spinning.
Yeah. I totally introduced her to Max. Like, hey, this is the guy you really want to talk to about sign spinning. Like, I could talk about sign spinning, but he's the spinventor, right? So at some point, she met everybody. Right?
Yeah.
I even think in Colorado she was with Ray and Laramie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy how much time has passed, because now she's like
she's
integrated component. Yeah, she's part of the sign spinning community.
Yep, the big homie.
As much as any one of us, yeah. So going back even further in time, when did you hire in, and how did you find sign spinning? Or did sign spinning find you?
I think sign spinning found me.
So you got recruited by someone?
Yeah.
Is that the story?
Yeah. July 2009. Man. July 2009. So I think we're like 13 years, just about.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride. I just remember one of my friends sending me a text saying one of his friends that I knew, I actually had Anthony for a class in high school.
Anthony Erickson?
Yeah, Anthony Erickson. Funny story, his mom was my Spanish teacher. But anyways, I got a text from one of my friends, Gary. He's like, hey, Anthony's looking to hire some people for this company he works with. They're hiring at $10 an hour, blah, blah, blah. And, $10 an hour back then.
Oh, that was massive.
That was massive for us when minimum wage was like $6.25 or like $7 or something like that. So I was like, needing a job. Anyways, I had just tried to go to the Army, and the Marines, and that didn't work out. And so I had just coincidentally got that text by by my friend Gary. And then I called Anthony, and Anthony's like, yeah, let me get you hired, and got me through the process. And I got interviewed by the general.
No way.
Yep, by the general. Jeff
General himself.
Yep. That was my first like real introduction to AArrow. Yeah. And he hired me. I mean, he interviewed me first, and then he hired me, and then it just went on from there. It was already about summer when I started working some shifts. And I remember saying, I'm gonna like get another job.
Yeah, as supplemental or as a replacement?
I wasn't thinking supplemental at that time, right? I was still 18, so I thought I could just like switch jobs and live in LA, like whatever.
Yeah.
But turns out I got another job as a waiter for Altamirano. And I ended up keeping the sign spinning job because by like my 4th, 5th month, they had bumped me up to like $12-13 an hour because the better you are, the more you got paid. And I thought it was pretty cool to travel and listen to music while you're spinning. So that really kept me interested, and also the competitions. But yeah, I ended up staying. Even got a third job about a year or two later, working at a factory. And man, my week was stacked, but I was still spinning on the weekends, and I was expecting a child as well, so that's why I got all those jobs.
Talk about motivation.
Yeah. I kept working. I just kept working since I didn't know what else to do at that time. I was kind of in college, but not really, because I was really so focused on trying to provide, I guess.
Do you really think that was the push, or do you think there was a sense of discipline lying underneath that enabled you to juggle all those responsibilities? Because if you're trying to join the Marines, there's got to be like something that pulled you in that direction.
I can't remember exactly why I wanted to do that. Maybe because I thought that would be something I wanted to do. I was always like, doing something growing up. I wanted to play sports. So I was playing sports. I was playing football. And so that's how I was like, with the team. And then after that, I was doing, after football, or actually my last 2 years of high school, I was doing like a junior JROTC type of thing. But it wasn't with the school, and it was outside of school. It was like a nonprofit. And it was cool. We would do like real life Army, Marine style things in like the desert, paintballs and paintball guns, and learning things that you would learn there, right? Kind of like so that's why I wanted to go to the Marines, because the person that was recruiting me, totally sold me on the idea. And I was like right out of high school before I even knew what sign spinning was or anything. And yeah, there was just so much going on back then, but I didn't get accepted for one reason or another. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to work, because everybody was like, well, you should work. So I was like, I guess I should work.
Yeah. It's interesting that one of the overlaps with serving and spinning is the outdoorsmanship involved with it.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're going to be out in the sun, you're going to be running through the elements. Paintballing, man. I know it's nothing like a shift.
Hey, man, stuff hurts. Yeah. That stuff was hurting, but it was also a really cool experience. And to this day, I talk about it. And I still think about those days with that organization. It was called First City Rifle Corps. One of the coolest programs I've ever done in my youth, next to football. So I think that's, I don't remember exactly why I wanted to do that, but that's
what was it called?
First City Rifle Corps.
What was the biggest challenge for you to overcome in the world of sign spinning, at least during your ascension?
The biggest challenge?
Yeah, like what was the hardest thing, if anything? Like what did you find difficult with sign spinning? Was it learning the tricks? Was it overcoming the stage fright? Was it the endurance? I don't think it was endurance.
All of it. I did have like the energy to do that, and I was like, when I really started spinning full time, I was spinning like 25 to 35 hours a week, especially when I first started going full time. We had a really good client back then, Jiffy Lube. I'm sure you remember Jiffy Lube. They were running every day, multiple locations. So I was spinning somewhere in LA. I was spinning.
Yeah, all those Jiffy Lubes were located in the most iconic places in Hollywood.
Yep, my favorite one was Hollywood. Melrose. Melrose and La Brea, one of my favorite shifts.
Justin owned that one for a while.
Justin was the best.
What was the easiest thing to overcome? Because I imagine, again, coming from that outdoor background in football and paintball, I imagine being outside isn't exactly a challenge.
I can say the easiest thing to overcome is showing up. Yeah. Because I was always like still like in the learning stage of everything, right? We're not I wasn't like an expert at sign spinning. I wasn't born with being a talented sign spinner, right? Even though I say I am. But I think showing up and just keeping that coachable attitude is what the easiest thing to overcome. Because, you know, I don't know. Yeah, showing up is the easiest thing, and one thing led to another.
How long did it take you before you were confident enough to say, no, I'm the best sign spinner in LA? Like, when did that happen? When did you realize that, like, yo, I got something?
Like the third month of my employment.
Third month. Man, that's when you were able to convince people.
In sarcastically trying to break out of my confidence shell, I was acting as if I was the best, right?
Yeah.
But, I know that there's so many better spinners than us even today. But, I like to keep people on their toes, especially because I still like to sign spin 13 years. So I still say I'm the best. And I like to, good sportsmanship with my friends. A lot of everybody are all friends, right? I mean, even then when we're at the office, sometimes, we joke around about being the best, or I'm just, because you ranked higher than me that one time at that West Coast competition,
and 2015
and
too.
I still could, and I still couldn't believe it. But maybe the judges weren't looking at the time that I did the really cool stuff, and I don't know, who knows. But anyways,
Variables.
You get where I'm going with this. I'm totally being sarcastic about it all, but I mean, to be 100% honest, I know I'm not the best, but I still aspire to be, even though I do whatever with my life. I still love sign spinning with a passion. It is my form of, like, my way to express myself, my escape. You have your headphones on, you're on stage. Cool thing is you're getting paid while you're spinning, right? So
yeah, definitely the most unorthodox thing I've done for payment as well. Yeah. But where did I had a thought there.
I think you were thinking that I'm still the best.
Oh yeah, about being the best. I think there's a nugget of sincerity in there, because in order to be the best at something, you kind of do have to believe it. I know it seems, for lack of a better word, arrogant, but it almost seems like you need that in order to at least convince yourself that you're good enough to overcome your peers, at least in competition.
Yeah.
So
I almost see it like Conor McGregor.
Yeah, dude. No, it's a mindset. It's a good thing.
Kadeem Johnson, one of my favorites.
Oh my God, bro. Yeah. The last conversation I had with Kadeem, he was talking about the only reason why he won was because he went in with the intent to win.
Yep, with that mentality that he's already going to take it and win. He says it all the time. Same thing with dueling, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. He went in there like convincing himself. I'm taking it. Yeah. That's the way you got to do it. Yeah. Like when you're closing a sale, you're like, I'm gonna close this sale. I'm gonna get this new client. We're gonna put these hours on the board.
Belief is a powerful thing, man.
Yeah.
What does the World Sign Spinning Championship mean to you? Like, as I know you said that was one of the things that got you to stick around, but what does it mean to you in terms of, like, is it the competition that means the most to you? Is it the sense of the family reunion, or is it the ranking?
I can't say it's one thing. It's like everything about it. I guess because I like sign spinning, the sport of it, and I like being a part of the world, because it's something not just me, it's something bigger, and it's cool that we've turned it into something. I guess that's what I like about it, is I'm a part of it. I don't know what one thing, but there's so many things that I like, even the convention, I guess because I like the learning aspect of it, getting better, because even with 13 years of experience, I still learn something new, even speaking about this whole art thing, the part where Yumi has that one side of the room, on the other side of this wall, where Laramie is spinning without a sign. That's literally what goes in my head, all day. I'm just thinking of tricks and signs in my head.
It reminds me of music in a lot of ways, because I know sometimes as we're just walking through life, we're hearing stuff in our head sometimes. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know if it's us being inspired, or if it's because I'm certainly not picking all of those deliberate notes.
So there's a lot of things to it. Like I said, the whole learning side and sign spinning happens in my head because I just think tricks most of the time. So
I guess it is.
I guess it's just a part of me. It's a lifestyle, right?
It's the EDC of sign spinning. It's like sign spinning stuff.
Like we like music, we like artists. We'd go to the concert.
Yeah.
There's things like that you do to honor what you do, like Comic-Con there's like, people go cosplay and they go every year, and there's so many different things. I guess that's like, the sign spinning side of it. That's our convention. I like the convention and the competition, right? So
after my exploration into the art world, I've compared the World Sign Spinning Championship to like the Museum of Contemporary Art or the Museum of Modern Art, where the who's who of the art world would typically be found there. And I find the same thing happens in the world of sign spinning. The who's who of sign spinning, every sign spinning celebrity you can think of, past or present, is there. Yeah, this place is haunted, by the way.
I got attacked.
It's totally haunted.
It wants me to spin.
It's a guy named Steve. Are you picking those tricks out as they come to you, or are you the receiver of the inspiration?
I have no idea. I could be flipping tacos, and I'll think of a sign spinning trick and do it in my head while I'm doing something else. I have no idea. It just naturally comes to me. I could be like playing with my kids, and I'm like, oh my God, if I head spin Anthony, and then I try to, and then I, you know what I mean? Like I cartwheel into a catch,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how like when I went into that room and I saw that, I was like, oh my God. Like I feel like that's how I like go through life with a lot of like my thought process. I'm just like freestyling with life, and I'm like going with the movements and like the momentum, and then I'm like trying to make something of it.
Freestyling with life.
Yeah. I think my coffee's here.
All right. I'll put a bookmark on the freestyling life.
So we were talking about me being the best sign spinner you've ever seen in your life. Is that what you just said?
And then freestyling through life.
Freestyling through life, yeah.
The reason why that one slapped is because I was just saying that everybody's got a plan until they drop the sign, right? And at that point,
how are you going to recover?
You got to freestyle. There are moments in life where you have to learn how to improvise too, where you make a plan, things don't go accordingly. But as long as you make a plan, you can gauge how off course your improvisation has become. Mm-hmm. You can kind of gauge your success based on your plan, right? So if you are forced to freestyle a solution, once everything is said and done, the smoke clears and the dust settles, you can compare what happened, your results, to your intended results, and see how far off course you've actually came. That's or wild. How on course you stayed. So freestyling is an important skill set, and that's just one of the lessons that I pulled from sign spinning too. Are there any lessons?
That's so crazy that you said that. That's so funny. It's ridiculously true. Yeah.
Are there any lessons that you pulled from sign spinning?
I mean, I still pull lessons from sign spinning from all aspects of it. The most important lesson I learned from sign spinning, I mean, it goes past sign spinning, once you become like a manager and you get this type of experience from like, recruiting, hiring, and training, to filling the schedule, to making it your priority to fill a schedule. You come up with different solutions, and then you get creative with those solutions, and then there's just like, I think that's what I pulled the most from sign spinning, was being adaptive, being creative, and like not wanting to give up, doing whatever it takes, implementing that in all aspects of my life, even with fatherhood. One of the things I want to be the best at is I want to be a better dad than I was yesterday, every day, right? Or like becoming the best sign spinner ever. I want to be better than I was yesterday, the next day. Yeah. Right? Same thing with everything. All your jobs, your sales. I guess that's just that mentality, something that you grow with. Football, people train their whole lives to all year round to be like the best, and then you get a mentality of like, I can do it. I got to push myself past my limits physically, emotionally, mentally. Like, there's so much, because then think about it. You've been in the heat and you're like, oh my God, can I really finish today? And you're like, I'm going to finish today. It's hot, but I'm going to just take like a break. Let's see, get some water. Hopefully I'm not having heat stroke, because if I'm having heat stroke, I probably won't be able to finish today. Or is it just my mind messing with me? Like, am I injured or am I hurt? I don't know. Like, I try to really push myself, I guess. That's what I learned. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No. I'm glad you mentioned all that, because it didn't occur to me until you said it. Although it seems obvious now, creative problem solving or creativity in general has upward mobility in this industry. There's upward application. There's upcycling here in this lesson. Like, obviously, there's an amount of creativity when it comes to sign spinning. I didn't realize that same creativity could bring creative problem solving to not just your routine, but to the management level. Just getting a bad catch or a bad toss forces you to start thinking and start thinking of obscure solutions on how to catch it. And I guess the same thing happens when you...
There's 10 different ways I could catch this right now.
Yeah,
there's
and the
10
same way,
different ways I can go about this right now.
There's 10 different ways you can go about solving a managerial problem or a scheduling conflict.
Whatever it is. But I think that little part right there where it's just like, you don't want to take no for an answer, or you don't want to give up until you've like gone through all your options and your resources and exhausted. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, again, that's an obvious one, but I just didn't.
And then you teach that to other people, right? Through like the processes of like this experience that we gain, right? And then they learn, and then you learn something from them because they get creative in their own way, like,
Yeah, dude. That's another lesson right there. Is if you can learn something as obscure as sign spinning, what else are you capable of figuring out?
Yeah. I like to, I think my wife has gotten really good at like what I try to do with like what I just said. When like there's a problem, we try to get like on top of the solution or get creative. So it's like let's say we're both in a problem, and it's good when there's two heads that are like creatively not giving up, trying to find a solution. And sometimes I think of something that I'll think won't work, and then Raquel will think of something. That's what I'm saying. Like, if she thinks of something that I think won't work and then it works, I'm like, oh man, I just learned something, or vice versa, right? Yeah. I hope I made sense with that.
No, 100%.
Analogy. But yeah, like, like it's not like one person is the only person really trying to figure a way out. There's two people.
Yeah, you guys are scientists in that regard. When one scientist brings up a hypothesis, they test it. If it doesn't work, the other scientist has an idea too.
Yeah. I guess it's crazy that sign spinning has taken us from there to what I'm talking about now.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that's why there's so many lessons to be pulled from this. But this all started with why competition?
Why competition? I don't know why. Like, I still don't. Like, I'm just happy to still be a part of it.
How does it feel to have judged the most prestigious sign spinning event in the world?
Yeah, this year was really cool.
What was that responsibility like? Did it feel like a responsibility, or did it feel like as fun as throwing out around?
Thankfully it wasn't like my first time judging.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten enough practice with like the local competitions we've hosted in California, and then I've judged the Texas sign spinning competition a couple times.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then getting to judge the World Sign Spinning competition, I never realized how much I wanted to do that until it was offered to me, and then I never thought about doing that. I never thought I was going to ever judge WSSC, and then they were like, hey, what do you think about judging WSSC? It was like my mind was blown. I was like, no freaking way.
Yeah.
What did you just say to me?
Is this a real golden ticket?
Are you freaking serious? Are you lying to me? No, you didn't just say that. I think I'm going to wake up right now. That's what I'm saying. Like, at that moment, I never realized how cool it would be until they actually told me if I was interested, and then going through it and then doing it. It was so freaking cool. It was a lot of work mentally and emotionally, but it was extremely cool, and it was like an experience I hope I get to relive again. And I've been behind the seat of being a judge, and then I've been on the other side where you're like judging the judges of the competitions,
Yeah.
And
you're sitting there auditing the scores.
Yeah,
and shit.
man. I think the whole like different people, because I judged it with Shimon and Tony, and one's from the East Coast, one's from kind of Midwest-ish, is Arizona, still dry, so we can say it's Texas, whatever.
Yeah.
It was a great experience overall. I never thought I'd get there, but it was cool. I saw a lot of cool tricks, saw a lot of cool people. I met new people. I think that's what I like as well, is meeting the new people and what cool things they bring to the table. Because, I like when you see a new spinner and they like go at compete, and it's like they just made a name for themselves, right? Of someone we've never heard of. Like, I remember when we first seen Tyler Cartwright spin at a competition, and we're like, yo, who's this? And then he spun, and then we're like, whoa, you know. And then it goes on, right? Like Eric Miner, and like there's so many people that we've never heard of, and then they go spin, and then it's like, wow, that's cool. I think that's what I like the most. See like what surprises, who's been training, who's gonna really put a wow, and man.
The different disciplines, like Eric Macias bursting onto the scene was nuts. Like first year in.
Yeah, I remember that Eric Macias dude. That dude
already giving Kadeem a run for his money.
Yeah.
Being a competitor and being a judge, and in addition to that, being a critical component to the management side of things, how has the industry, the sport, and the craft changed from the time that you started?
Man, just people just get so innovative. It's the best I got, you know. It just gets crazy what people are thinking, and then what combinations they come up with, and it's like I remember like Jacob Vega doing some of the stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I seen that in my head. Like he just did a trick that I thought of, or at least I thought of, or invented in my head. The things that people do, like it's crazy with someone with a parkour background will come into sign spinning new and do something cool with it, and then same thing with a breakdancing background comes in as a new employee, and then they like implement it to what they do, and then like I think that's like the part that I've seen change is like just different people, different forms of expression, and it's tight.
That's where I like to make the comparison to hip hop sometimes, because even though it's all hip hop, there's different cadences, there's different deliveries, and a lot of the times they're building on the people before them, and that's what I find happening a lot in sign spinning. Instead of developing tricks from scratch, they're taking a lot of the existing components and building on that. So it's almost like they didn't need to reinvent the wheel. They just put these wheels on Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Put some rims on it or something.
Yeah. Right? The wheel was already there. They just made it better.
They made it lighter so they could flip it higher.
Now they're carbon fiber rims.
Right.
These guys are, I see that same innovation. What's your most memorable WSSC? Do you have like a favorite memory?
Tons of favorite memories. But I think like the most coolest memory, the most memorable like round at a WSSC, I was standing right in front of like the bleachers, right? Because we had roles at the competition. Sometimes you and I would help out and stuff like that. So I know both of us were like in the front, grabbing video. But it was Mucho, his final round, the round where he won. It was just that was my most memorable. I don't know why, but everything about that day was like everyone was so competitive and it was so cool. And I don't know, maybe it was his Dragon Ball Z costume, because I love Dragon Ball Z, and then he freaking killed it.
Yeah, it stood out to me too.
I think maybe, who knows if it was that or if it was Mucho's energy, the song, because I love that song Free Bird, and he like had a great routine with his song. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. There's so many little things that like make it come to life, and like the big thing.
Yeah, and I feel you. WSSC is the first place where I've seen fools actually go Super Saiyan.
Yeah, exactly. Best way to put it. But that's been like my most memorable round. But I guess like the best memories are always like, hanging out with everybody and catching up with everyone, going to the convention, seeing how everyone's doing, reviewing the year, what cool things people are doing, because like in different markets we do like super cool things. Sometimes we get in the media different ways, and who knows. But I guess those are always like the most memorable things for me.
The shenanigans. Shout out Nacho Daddies.
Yep, Nacho Daddy. Yep, I remember it. Like everyone's always spinning right there, and yeah, it's cool.
The Museum of Modern Art vibe again.
Yeah, exactly.
The who's who of science is right there.
Yeah. And then, when we're all practicing in the back of our stage, there's like that cul-de-sac next to like in between all the hotels, and we're all like practicing there. And that's always like a huge memory.
Yeah. What inspired the move to start Las Hermanas? What was the genesis to that?
Man. my wife and my mother-in-law. They were like the ones behind it. I mean, my mom and my mother-in-law. Okay, so here's the thing. You know, I love food. Everybody knows I love food, and you know, I mean, me and you are like food homies. Like, we're the food homies.
We had to test out
foodie homies. Yeah,
every taco shop around the office.
Anyway, so like we love food, and I love my mother's cooking. I love my mother-in-law's cooking, and my wife is the same. Like, we're all foodies, right? Like, we would all go. Like, if we were able to, you, my wife, and me, and Stephanie, right? Because we're all, I like, you know, food. I would love to just go and try out every food if I could for the rest of my life. That's how much I love food. Anyways, back to my mom and my mother-in-law. They make good food, right? So we started making tamales and like empanadas for like family stuff and stuff like that. And Raquel and her mom were like, why don't we go sell tamales out of the trunk of our car when we go drop off the kids? You know, we'll do it for like 30 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
And they're like full confident. They're like, well, we'll sell it out. We'll make like 50 or like 100. And they did. And I thought it was going to be a bad idea, to be 100% honest. I got to say,
No way.
I was like, you're going to be like one of those tamale ladies outside. And like, tamales, tamales. You know, I honestly thought that's, you know, but I supported them. I helped. I helped with whatever I could, but I didn't think it'd be a good idea. And then turns out it was an extremely good idea. And it's cool because they are the ones that motivated me to do it. And so, you know, first day happens, we sell tamales to some people, and then we sold out that first day within an hour, and then just kept coming back the next day and the next day after that. And, you know, the easiest thing is to always show up.
Yeah, dude, wow.
And,
what an applicable lesson there.
Yeah, and then my mom was like, that's so cool that you guys are selling tamales, because, you know, I had my day job, right, when I was working with AArrow, and we were also doing Uber at the time a while back, yeah, right?
Dude.
We were just, I mean, you live in LA, we live in LA, yeah. We try to find.
You need 3 jobs minimum.
Yeah, exactly. So they would, you know, they started making 100 a day, 150 a day, and they'd sell out within the first hour and a half, and then we'd go about our days. You know, Raquel runs her dad's mechanic shop, and then I was working at AArrow or doing Uber or whatever, so I'd go drop off the kids, we'd sell tamales. And, you know, we would switch shifts sometimes, right, between us three, but we did it. And we would go about we'd make that income in the morning, go about our regular jobs later in the day, and then repeat. And then, you know, our first event was actually at our school, that school. You know, they wanted us to cater to the event. So we did. And that was like one of our first real experiences. I think the biggest part about the whole thing was we liked making food the way we like to make it, and then other people really liked it, you know? And I think that's why we just kept going with it. We inserted or implemented, whatever you want to say, empanadas after the tamales. Yeah. And then, you know, we just started like doing tacos at some point. And then I got really stubborn, and I spent a lot of money to get like equipment to go be like a taco stand, because I was just so intrigued and I wanted to learn. I didn't care how much it kind of cost me. I don't recommend it.
Pre-pandemic,
yeah,
right?
Pre-pandemic, yeah, because I was still like doing AArrow, but I still wanted to do more. Yeah. And I wanted to do more than selling the trunk from our car. And, you know, we tried to do a taco stand. Funny that it happened like a little bit before the pandemic, but, you know, I bought the equipment, went out there.
Freestyling life again.
We went out there for that first week, and they're like, all right, it was like 4 days, and we're like, all right, let's announce a grand opening.
Yeah.
and yeah, it was like the first week of March, and then we did it for a couple of weeks before actual news of the pandemic, you know, March 2020. It was like mid-March, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And, man, that sucked. We stopped. You know, we had just gotten like our commercial kitchen and had done all these legitimate moves, and it was heartbreaking because we had to stop.
Yeah, it's definitely not a small accomplishment to be on the other side of the pandemic and still here.
And then after people stopped being so scared about everything, including us, because we legit closed down for like 4 to 6 months.
So Steve's trying to get you again.
Oh, damn it, Steve. There we go. What's it called? was I saying?
Closed.
Oh yeah, the pandemic. Yeah, dude. Oh man. So that sucked. And then 6 months later, unemployment wasn't the answer to like all of our problems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And AArrow also closed down because of the pandemic. That really hurt.
Yeah.
But the phone just like started ringing, and people wanted tamales and empanadas every now and then. So we were getting work every now and then, every other weekend. And then, me being like really stubborn, Raquel was like, you know what? We'll make something work. We got to do something. So we set up a stand close to like Ventura and Vineland, and we were just going out there, and we weren't making a lot of money, to be honest, but we were trying to like perfect our craft, so to say. Just kind of learning, and people were still buying food, and we don't like regret the stand.
It's a great time for experimenting, to be honest.
But it was difficult to find like a way to make some income, like a good way, because we got kids, and I didn't want to get a regular job.
Yeah, never.
I didn't want to get a regular job. But then I also didn't want to do Uber, so I was like, oh man, I gotta figure something out. And Raquel was like, I gotta figure something out too. Like, we're both trying to figure.
Yeah, no, it's great. In the land of opportunity, you probably should pursue the opportunities rather than settle for the job. Yeah.
And then, breakfast burritos.
Yeah, dude.
So at the stand, we started doing breakfast burritos, and that really it really did good for us.
Yeah, no, that got the word on the street.
Yeah, because we were doing tacos like at night and stuff, and people were buying food, but it wasn't like solving all of our problems or anything like that. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was something. But then we did breakfast, and we met the movers and the shakers in the morning, because we'd be out there by like 7 a.m. ready to make breakfast burritos. Yeah. And it kind of stuck us somewhere. So we did that for like another 6 to 8 months, and then January, February 2021 came around, right? And like the phone started ringing. Best way to put it. I don't know how we got to where. But,
word of mouth, man. I'm telling you.
But we just started getting events here and there, and through trying to balance it all, we just kept going from there. Oh, my wife's calling me. So we were saying how much of a good sign spinner it was. Oh yeah, breakfast burritos.
Yeah, man. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. Like, good things sell themselves. Like, look, science spinning sells itself. We don't really need commercials because everybody knows it's good. Portos. I never see any advertisements for Portos, but that's always got a line. Mm-hmm. You don't see any advertisements for like Lamborghini or Porsche, but everybody wants it. So I think the same thing applies here. Las Hermanas, no commercial necessary, but people know about that shit.
Yeah, we started getting events.
Good food sells itself.
Yeah. So we stopped the stand. We stopped the stand when we started getting more events, and Raquel got like really good at making the salsas, and Ramona has always been good at making the tamales, and then my mom's always been good at making empanadas.
They were the roots of it all, right?
And we're all kind of just helping each other out in this thing we're doing, and I'm forever grateful because like we're all it's not perfect, but we all are doing it together, and we're figuring it out together, and it's so fun, and we've been meeting like a lot of cool people along the line. So along the way, but if you're wondering about the name was like kind of just came to us. I don't remember how, like someone said it, like when we were selling tamales or something, and we're like, it's a great idea. But something with the mothers, the name was taken, so we're, Raquel and everybody was like, I like Las Hermanas. It's a cool name. And that's what we started. It's like it's an honor of them, it's like they're Latinas, they're all owners of the company, and family business. So what inspired me was the food that my mom and my mother-in-law made or whatever that they make, and I want to share that with the world, like how good our moms cook.
That's a great origin story, and probably the best reason to put the food out there in the first place.
Exactly. Like I'm not gonna say like I identify as a chef, but and same thing with my wife. But man, like her habanero salsas are like really good, and she's gotten like really good at it. And same thing with me. We cook for our kids and our family all the time, and it's like second habit to me. I've always liked cooking because I've always liked food, right? But I didn't go to school for food. I don't have like a culinary arts degree.
How many musicians are in that same boat? How many musicians were formally trained, and how many musicians are shying away from calling themselves artists?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we just all help each other. Like I have my place with them, right? So, I'm curious to see what we'll be next year or the next 5 years. But, I mean, you've had some of the food.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else to say, but we make the food the way we like, and we share it with others.
That's, like I said, the best thing you can do, because as with all art, you're not going to get the same copy from somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the reasons why I like pizza so much too, is because there's so many different places to get pizza, and they're all going to be different. No one pizza place is going to taste exactly like the other one. And I think that's what I enjoy about Las Hermanas too, is the fact that I'm not going to find food exactly this way somewhere else.
What's crazy is you remind me of one of the reasons why we like to do tacos, like why we started. Like Raquel and I, being that we're foodies, and even with you, we've all gone on so many food dates, and we've tried different taco places, and especially me and Raquel have had our share of bad experiences with just bad tacos.
Yeah.
And we're like, did we just pay for that?
Yeah, dude.
Or like, I don't know. And it's just, we've always been like, we could, in the most humble of ways, we could really do something with this. Like, I know it's so common, but we could separate ourselves, and we could just, like, whether it be the salsa or the way we cook it or all of it, let's not be shy about it. And I think it's been like our most number one requested service, besides the tamales and the empanadas, right? Those three things, the tacos. They're usually taco. Man, LA is Tacolandia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like taco stands and
I'm telling
taco
you,
restaurants everywhere.
it's as diverse as pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way.
It's diverse as pizza.
There's no way you can get lost in the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So
You'll definitely have your own lane for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we still did it, and it's like really fun, and I'm doing it with my family, and I'm just implementing whatever experiences I could bring to the table, and so are they, and I think that's the fun part about it.
All right, so I know you mentioned, I don't recall, though, if you mentioned that fatherhood influenced your endeavors, or if your endeavors have influenced fatherhood. Like, has fatherhood played a role in your ability to interact with your audience like this? Or would you say that the lessons you pulled from interacting with your customers, your spinners, your peers has improved your skill set as a father?
All of it. I don't know how to explain it, but I think working with so many people over the years has just, given me so much practice and experience that's how I've tried to get better, because even, I don't know if this makes sense, but for example, like, I try to be very funny with my kids sometimes, just trying to break their confidence shell and like singing whatever Disney songs or
Yeah, I get the snaps.
yeah. I'd be sending you my mini concert sometimes, right? So, when I've like gone out there on the corner, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have some fun, right? Especially when like my music doesn't work or like my battery dies, I just try to act that same way outside on the corner. And then I feel like since I can do that, when we were in that stage of learning walk-ins, right? It's very intimidating, right? But as we went through those experiences all the time, we got better and better and more confident. It's like, okay, if I walk in here and I start singing Disney songs or whatever, like, I'm just confident. Obviously, I'm not going to walk in and start singing Disney music, but we would walk in and, we would keep our composure when we're talking to other professionals and we'd get a new client sometimes, right? And I feel like all of that, it just goes together, So even with like how I interact with my kids, I try to, I don't know. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if that'll make sense, but.
When did you transition from, like, was there a day that came where you're like, you know what? This sign spinning thing is dope. I need some more responsibility. Maybe I should try recruiting a team. Like, at what point did you make the transition from just an employee to becoming an employer? Like, at what, was there a switch?
I don't know. I guess it kind of just came to me. I remember before I actually got that factory job, I was working, spinning as much as I could, but I was a waiter or a busser, a waiter. I mean, I did several positions at Altamirano, but I was, trying to go to college, and this was before I was becoming a parent, by the way. So I was trying to go to college, and I was taking some classes, and I was doing both jobs. And, through my sign spinning career, in my first year, I met Keaton. He was my spin instructor, became like my best friend over time. But I was hung out with him, and I got to know him a lot, and we became friends. And anyways, he got really good. He was always really good, even when he started teaching me how to sign spin. We called him Spinsei because Keaton's a freaking beast.
Proper.
But anyways, he went to Chicago for AArrow because they were starting a franchise out there, and he was over there for some time. I can't remember. I think he was there for like 6 months before he called me, and he's like, "You want to come to Chicago?" And I was like, "What?" I never thought that was like ever a possibility, And I can't remember exactly where I was or if I was at Altamirano at that time, but I remember talking to Keaton about it for like a week straight, and then I met Rupert, which is the person that flew me out there to Chicago, and I spent some time out there, and I lived with them, and I learned, that side of the business, the building a team, because that was the goal, is we were going to build a team and train sign spinners and build Chicago, and that was my introduction to it. And I went over there for some time, and I got homesick after a while, and I was like so emotional. I just wanted to come back home. Chicago is like a different experience, but it was a great experience. I don't regret anything of it. But funny story, one of my bad experiences in Chicago, I'll tell you about it in a bit. But I remember being homesick, and I was like, I just want to go home, and I just want to go home. It's been too much time. But I wasn't ready to go home, and the idea was I was supposed to stay in Chicago. Like, I was supposed to go home to like say bye to everybody, get all my stuff, and move back. But I ended up staying because I don't remember exactly why, but I didn't go back, and I stayed in LA, and then I met Raquel, and then it went from there, because I remember coming back this summer of I can't remember if it was like 2010 or something like that. I think it was, or like 2009. I don't know. It was like a year to 2 years after, like within my first to 2 years in AArrow. But even then, when I stayed, even though I was like learning managerial things over there, I didn't start doing that here. I was still just spinning out here, and there was already like a team here and managers, and so they didn't really need my help, but I learned some of this stuff over there. Then when I was I took full-time AArrow like a year or 2 years later. After that, I went full-time. I was working at the factory by that time already.
I remember that period of time vividly.
Got married, and we had Anthony.
Yeah.
And I was working at that factory because I needed to provide for my family. I needed to make whatever money I could make, and at that time the factory was paying good. And then I went to convention, my first convention, WSSC. Freaking changed my freaking life.
It's always the first one.
Yeah. And I don't know what crazy thought in my head, but man, I know I had a bad story that I wanted to tell you real quick about Chicago. One of my second day in Chicago, I wanted to do some You're At Here spinning. Yaw spinning. And there's a lot of people in Chicago. So I put the sign on the floor, and I was checking my phone, right? And this guy was just not paying attention, and he walks and he trips over my sign. And he got so upset at me, and he threw his hot coffee on me. Thankfully, it wasn't like boiling hot, and it didn't hit my face. But like it went on my chest, and like, it was a little hot, and I wasn't like, ow, it hurt. I was just like astonished at what happened. And I was like, dude, you tripped over my sign and you hit me with the coffee, whatever. Anyways, I just had to tell you about that story real quick. But going back to what I was talking about, I almost forgot what I was talking about.
The rise.
Oh, yeah. So
Christian, the GM.
Oh, God. When you say it like that, it sounds so cool.
I mean, you took a lot of people up with you, though. I mean, at some point, Eric jumped into the mix. I mean, even I got brought up with you at some point.
Man.
There was a lot that happened in that period of time. I mean, I remember when you came back, because I don't remember you being there at the same time as me when we hired in, even though I hired in before you. I'm assuming that's because that was during the time that you were in Chicago, because out of nowhere you came back, and I just remember seeing you like talking shit to Martell at practice, and then like
that's me.
Yeah, that was
me.
that was
I
my
was either
introduction to
telling
Christian.
them, we always roasted each other. It was all good.
Yeah,
fun.
something along the lines of you suck.
Yeah. But that was, Martell was also my instructor, and we all taught each other stuff, but we're all good friends. But yes, those were like the funny roast
standard issue shit. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyways, I was working full time at this factory Monday through Friday, and I was working at the restaurant, closing at nights like 4 days a week and spinning on Saturdays and Sundays. It was like intense schedule, but I needed to do it. So I went to convention, and that changed my life. And I just remember thinking, like, I want to do this. And something inside of me just made me make all these weird decisions. And I couldn't have done it without my wife backing me up, to be 100% honest. Like, that first year was a huge learning experience for me. And I learned a lot. I learned so much. But Raquel pretty much tried to support me by getting a job herself so I could work on this business with AArrow, because it wasn't making me as much money as the factory at the beginning, but after that first year, and we built our client list, and we had hours running all the time, and we're employing a lot of people, and it was working out. But I shout out to Raquel. I couldn't have done that without her.
Yeah.
Anyways, at convention, I just remember just learning a bunch of stuff, and then I told Jeff. Jeff was there, and I was just like, "Wow, Jeff! Like, I'm really interested in doing more with AArrow." And Jeff was like, "Really? You wanna do more stuff?" I was like, "Yeah." So I started recruiting, hiring, and training, and Jeff was my GM. But I started recruiting, hiring, and training in LA full time after like a month after my first convention. I put in my 2 weeks at my factory job. It was a huge risk. Huge risk. Nobody supported me, by the way, except my wife. Even though she was like supportive, she thought it was a bad idea at first too. But you know what? We went through it.
These are my favorite stories.
Yeah. But everybody was like, "Dude, you're so weird."
Kind of like that.
Everyone was like, "Really?
Sign
spinning?" Yeah. It was nobody. Because dude, when I got the job at first, everyone was like, "Okay, you got a sign spinning job, whatever." Like, nobody took me serious, and then I took it serious, and everyone was like, "Why are you taking it so serious?" And nobody supported me except Raquel, and she thought I was crazy, but she was like, "You know what? Like, if you think you can do it, you can do it." And I did it, and I'm still doing it, But man, it's so crazy. So just started working with Jeff as a GM, and then like a year later, he was, he taught me how to be a general manager, and he made me the general manager. And then, as Jeff grew, I grew. He was working for corporate, doing a lot of things for corporate, West Coast, whatever. Pretty much, Jeff's a huge MVP in AArrow. Yeah. So like, we already know he does a lot, but he started from where I was, and he kind of brought me up, and we brought up other people. I can't take all the credit and say like I wanted to. I brought up all these people, and I wouldn't have done it without Jeff. Jeff, helped me learn to learn people, because that's really what it was. Eric's great person, great friend. But, we remember Eric when he first started. I mean, he got hired when he was younger than us. Like, we were 18.
Yeah, no, I remember.
You and I were 18. Dude. Eric was like 15, 16 years old.
Yeah. Long hair, Eric.
Yeah, long hair, super freaking gangster.
Dude,
just,
crazy.
Eric was Eric. But, little by little, we worked through so many people, and some people stuck and some people didn't. Some people moved on. But a lot of people got opportunities to go move to other cities and stuff like that, just like you and Martel and whoever else. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But that's the rise. That's how I started. I just huge risk, and I don't recommend it to anybody. But
yeah, it definitely takes a certain type.
Yeah, I did it, and it wasn't easy, and it's still, it's still like, wow.
I think this is where that,
like, I don't even feel like I'm at the end game. I'm still like, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. Like because today, Kevin Williams is like our acting general manager, and for OC, and like I'm helping, and for LA too. Like we help each other. I mean, we're really like co-GMs, but I try to focus more on the sales side now. But I didn't do it by myself. It was all the team.
It's one of my favorite things about AArrow is the promote from within type of thing, because it really does take a sign spinner to know what's in the best interest of another sign spinner. Kind of like even the production side of things. Like it takes a sign spinner to know what another sign spinner looks for in a good sign or a good piece of equipment. And so it's pretty cool that even on the manager standpoint, it takes one to know one.
Yeah, it's not easy, and and Jeff taught me to like just learn to manage people and learn people, and be a people's person, because that's really what like being a manager is about. When you're recruiting, hiring, and training, and doing the schedule and stuff like that. And man, we recruited and hired and trained a lot of people over the last 10 to 13 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we've seen our fair share of like a lot of people, moving up in the ranks and moving on and whatever. So you got to get really good at managing people. And that's what taught me really a lot, really. I remember thinking when Jeff was doing the schedule back then and he had like 3 backups, I'm like, that's crazy. Little did we know that was like the secret sauce.
Yeah, I think it's funny that fast forward a couple more years and that market's running like 800-900 hours regularly.
Yeah, he's like, you're a backup. I'm like, what the hell is that? What do you mean I'm a backup? I remember like to me being a backup second string in like football.
I was just gonna say,
it's like you're not
benched.
A starter. Yes, it feels like being benched. I was like, what? Backup?
Yeah.
And but obviously that was just the contingency planning, the safety net, the stuff that he learned managing people, just being ready and taking that concept. And I learned that, and that's how we did this. That's how we do the schedule. That's how we still do the schedule. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I implement with my life.
I can't help
being
but
ready, planned, prepared. I'm not the best, but I'm better than like being unprepared or not the best.
Yeah.
Or being inexperienced at all.
I can't help but see the irony here in everybody doubting the sign spinning thing. Like, man, really, you're taking that much of a leap of faith? But then also the same guy is like, I don't know about these tamale things, man. Like first thing in the morning, I don't know.
No, man, like I learned so much over the years. That's how you keep learning, is keeping your cup half empty. I feel like that's just a mentality that you got to keep, because everyone's always, everyone's always like, you're the best at this, you're the best at that. And, like Larry Fuller, dude, that is the freaking best sign spinner. Like, he's like really good at sign spinning. We know that. And when you go to talk to Larry about it, he's like the most humble person about it. Actually, as a matter of fact, only one time have I ever heard Larry be like, man, I'm way better than that. I've only heard him ever one time say that about one sign spinner that at a WSC. But other than that, he's always so humble and like willing, just a different mindset, right? Yeah. And then like I've always aspired to have that mindset, because I felt like it's helped me grow and learn more and just keep going with life, right? And like, yeah, like always keeping that, being in that seat of I'm a student still. I'm not the best at sales. I'm not the best at cooking or sign. Sign spinning. I am the best. Let me say that. I'm the best. Take that, Matt Doolin, Kadeem Johnson, Zach, all of you, everybody, take that.
Shots fired.
I love you guys, my people. But anyways, but yeah, that's Larry's like extremely humble when it comes to sign spinning. But when you watch him spin, and everybody else knows when they watch him spin, you're like, yo, that dude is like really good. Y'all got to watch Sunsets in the West.
Yeah, hell yeah. If you haven't already.
He
reminds me of Anderson Silva, because Anderson Silva never really bragged. He was pretty humble as a middleweight, but
Yeah.
oh my God, when you see him in the octagon, it's like, dude, are you,
Dude,
what?
why aren't you talking like Conor McGregor?
Yeah, exactly, man.
But, you know, I don't want to do that because I feel like it affects my mentality. And then that also, you know, I don't want to say I'm the best because I know I'm not the best. You know, I'm still learning and I'm still wanting to, I still aspire to master my craft at whatever I do.
I still think having that belief helps, though.
It helps a lot, you know, but I don't want to ever accept being the best at science betting, obviously, because I'm the best, you know.
Well, I mean, as long as you leave some room to grow.
Exactly, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like rating something a perfect 10, because then it's like, well, what if something comes by that's better than a 10? Now what? You know?
Exactly, yeah.
So saying a strong 9 is always a good thing. On the topic of freestyling life, I think Goku's a really good example of that, because when life gets crazy, it's almost as if this fool
His
thinks to
positive
himself,
outlook
like,
is like,
I got to get even crazier.
yeah. You know, that's how I really got to take on some stuff. It's been crazy these
So you
last
just
couple
gotta
of
be
years,
crazier.
especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many curveballs and stuff, and you're just like, you know, how am I gonna deal with this or do that or work this out, follow through with this? I don't know. It's crazy, but I feel like Goku was like a huge part of us growing up.
Yeah, dude, that guy.
I was watching that with my brother all the time, all the episodes.
So one of my favorite quotes from Goku right now is when he was Gohan had a lot of regret during the Cell saga, especially during the last fight he had with Cell. When he goes Super Saiyan 2, he discovers newfound power, and he starts toying with Cell instead of finishing the job. You know what I'm saying? And so in doing so, he ends up costing Goku his life. Goku ends up dying as a result of Gohan not just ending it right then and there. And so Gohan has this regret of like, oh man, what if I had done something more? I could have prevented my father's death. And Gohan responds to him from King Kai's planet saying, life is just too uncertain to have regrets. For all we know, that's the best thing you could have done.
Is that when he turned Super Saiyan 2?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that episode.
The one-armed Kamehameha. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I got goosebumps just thinking about it right now.
The one-armed Kamehameha.
Yeah. But, yeah, man. Well, where can everybody find tacos right now?
Well, right now we're only catering private events. We don't have a taco stand. We don't really sell food to the public like that. We're still a small family business operation. So, you know, we're doing events mainly on the weekends, you know, at venues or their houses or whatever, private events.
Where should people go if they want to, you know, request an event?
www.tamaleslosangeles.com. That's our website. Even though our name is Las Hermanas Catering, tamales is what got us started. And, you know, we really like that name. But, you know, they could send me an email from there. Our phone number is on there. You can get a little bit more info from there. But yeah.
Las Hermanas Catering on everything, right? On all socials?
Yeah,
all
Las
platforms?
Hermanas Catering on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. So
and Yelp and Google.
So without email, without a website, you can always shoot a DM for some tacos or tamales.
Yeah, or empanadas.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, the menu's expansive.
Yeah, man, but we'll see where we're at next year. But right now we're only doing private events. Next year, hopefully, we're out there with our food truck doing cool things, and we'll see where we're at after that.
Hey, it's cool, man. Private's exclusive. So on that note, I guess we'll pack up and head out.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.